Okay, and we are live. We are going to let's give like 30 seconds for people to join in, Paresh, and then we'll get started.
Okay.
I'm excited to do this. Um, Usually when we speak, it's project review, it's reviewing sandboxes and right, talking about prospects. But we're going to talk about some strategy stuff today. I'm excited.
Okay. I'm excited. Talk to me everything. I'm prepared.
Okay, let's give people. I see people joining. Give it a few more seconds, and then we'll kick off. Okay. Let's get started. So, hello and welcome everyone. My name is Shahzad Khokhar. I run the Salesforce practice for Accelirate, and I have with me customer and by now friend Paresh. We've met at conferences and we've built this fun platform together that we're going to talk about today. So, Paresh, welcome. Thank you for making the time. Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you. Thank you.
Um, Perhaps maybe we can start with just the business definition because I know you had a separate business, and then you spun off the life sciences aspect of that business as Clinilink, last year. And so maybe start with just tell us a little bit about Clinilink. What does it do as a business? What are you trying to do? And then we'll get into the platform. Please.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me. Okay. My name is Paresh Shah. I'm the founder and president of Clinilink. Let me go back to the history of how Clinilink came into being. Okay. Uh, I have my own company called Mindleaf Technologies, and we were doing patient engagement, medical support services, and medical appointments, revenue cycle for hospitals. We got affected by the pandemic very badly.
Hmm.
Okay, so we hired a college professor, okay, to tell us what we should pivot into. When you hire a college professor, you also get MBA students for free, and they kind of came up with the idea of getting into patient engagement for clinical trials. So for year and almost a year and a half, I
Hmm.
talked to between 57 to 60 different companies, which are
Yeah.
CROs, startups, large pharmaceutical companies, a lot of principal investigators, CRAs, to see what this entire field is all about.
Hmm.
It was pretty disjointed when it came to patient engagement. So I started doing more research into it, and that's when we decided that this is the area we need to target: patient engagement for clinical trials.
Yeah.
So as we started getting into it more and more, uh, and that's when we decided that we need to spin off the patient engagement into a new company. So we called it, we just like a 6, 7 months old Clinilink, and we formed Clinilink Corporation. And all we do is work on the clinical trial that is for the patient engagement side and other stuff. So that's how
Yeah.
Clinilink came to picture. Yep.
Yeah, I remember there's also a new FDA ruling in how these things are actually get set up. So maybe we talk a little bit about that because I know you and I talked about how that changes how we build the platform. So maybe talk about
Yep.
the whole diversity aspect to it, and then we'll get into the platform.
Okay. Uh, as you know, um, like in a phase two trial, one out of three or two out of five, the trials fail. Phase three, more trials fail. But FDA, they really came up with something that right now only 3% of the population participate in the clinical trials.
Hmm.
And anytime there's a pharmaceutical company, they always go to the usual suspects, I would say, or whatever. Okay, they would go to the site and they would go to the same site and they would target the same kind of patients. FDA came up with a recommendation of including DEI population, diversity, equity, inclusion.
Right.
What they really mean is to spread the geography, spread the horizon, so that you have people from all, not only 3% of the population, but a huge, vast amount of geography covered and cover a lot more population who can participate in the trial. I'll give you a very good example. I was on 2 pharmaceutical drugs before, like, for cholesterol. And I eat a lot of spicy food, a lot of junk food too, and, other stuff too. I was getting kind of a adverse reaction.
Hmm.
None of the and when I was at that time, we didn't have internet. I mean, we did, but it was not used as what it is today.
Mhm.
So I did write to it, and nothing happened. So then you go. Then I came on a different drug, and I have no adverse reaction. So thinking about it right now, going back in hindsight, if that clinical trial company had taken people
Right.
like me into consideration, I would still be under that old drug.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that's how the entire we are getting into it more and more, targeting the DEI population where they reside. Let's understand, United States is no longer a homogeneous country.
Right.
Now we have a lot of mixed races,
Right.
African American, white, Hispanic, white, all kinds of different combinations.
Hmm.
And within that, there are so many subdivisions, educated, financial hardships, and all those things. They all need to be targeted individually, and that's what we help.
Yeah. No, it's phenomenal. I think that aspect of DEI and representation, I think, is phenomenal. And we should talk about the Google Maps integration that we have now in your application, where you're able to specifically pick
Yeah.
out populations based on U.S. consensus data. So that's an exciting aspect. I'd like to talk about that later. But let's now move over to the platform and your actual business side of it. So, I mean, the service, let's call it the Clinilink service that you provide. Maybe talk a little bit about your selection criteria or your selection process of why did you pick Salesforce, and what is the overall platform or the service that you're building around Salesforce?
Okay. Let's. When we started this, I started with an end in mind. I looked at it from a sponsor point of view.
Mm-hmm.
What are they looking for? They're looking to the three most important thing for a sponsor. Number one, he has to keep the investors happy. He has to fill in the studies,
Yes.
okay, and make sure the studies are completed within time and budget. I looked at those things from a sponsor, and then I went backward. How to do it, what to do. Like, so and I know we wanted a platform, not one application, second application, third application. We wanted a platform to support because we have three different applications, and our plan is to add two or three more.
Mm-hmm.
Start from targeting where we can import data from so many different places where the population resides.
Yes.
What kind of primary care doctors or physicians exist over there, community clinics. When you market to those population, ones who are included in the trials or who are selected, what kind of a marketing strategy to use? Because some people may like email, some people may like regular text, some people may like WhatsApp. So it's all different, and some people simply like a simple postcard. Okay,
Sure.
and say, hey, for details you can go there. Or some people would like to talk. So we wanted to create that, and then once they joined the trial, we wanted to create multi-channel communication, collect all this data into some kind of a data lake, or and then do all kinds of analytics and machine language on it. So we started backwards, and I looked at a lot of platforms. I looked at AWS, I looked at others too, and finally the decision was made between AWS and Salesforce. Why Salesforce? Salesforce was much more like a platform for us, and that's what we needed.
Mm.
I do not consider Salesforce like an application because there are lots of applications we use, but the platform is the one I use, and then how I can consolidate all the data into what we want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so reason we've selected Salesforce, and also, I mean, the other small things were there too, like we work in a clinical trials or HIPAA privacy, and all those things do play into effect. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, one of the terms that we use in the business is a customer 360, right? Which is
Yep.
it's the single place of reference for your business where you can look at
Yep.
everything about whether it's the sponsor, about your business, right? So whether it's the sponsor, whether it's the trial, whether it's the actual physical locations where the trials are happening, whether it's
Yeah.
detriments to care, right, for patients or the patient records themselves. So it's kind of like your end-to-end, if I may, operating system of the business, right? This is where you guys conduct your business. And that was key.
Yeah.
I think that's been a recurring theme. Every time we've talked, we've said, hey, what if a nurse were to come in and look at what's happening with a particular patient, for instance, right? Hey, let's use Experience
Yeah.
Cloud to create this portal experience where they can come in and look at the Health Cloud components in terms of exposing the data. But then at the same time, they don't really need the entirety of the Health Cloud. So let's give them what they need. And then they come in, they do their stuff, review, assign tasks and whatnot, and then they go do their thing, right? Similarly, when you on the kind of the initial or the beginning side of the trial themselves, how do we select an audience, so to speak, if I may, right? Like, where are your enrollments coming from? And that's where that Google. So actually, talk to me about how did you have this? I mean, obviously we built it, but how did you have this idea of throwing a Google map on the screen? I mean, it looks slick. Maybe we'll do a demo of that at some point in time. It looks really slick, but how did you have this idea of making it easy and picking people by like perhaps zip codes or like actual physical geographies?
Okay. I mean, it was not easy. Okay. But what I really wanted to know, because I had already envisioned what I wanted to create was a platform. Okay. And one of the first thing you want to do is target where the population is. Now, I'll give you a very good example. I'm based out of Boston. I want to look at the population. My goal is to, let's say, 10% African American or minority or whatever. I can look at all the counties. Okay, and within the counties, you want to take a look at all those different combinations where they reside and who meets your goal. So we find from within the county, we find all the cities, within towns and cities who is able to meet our goals. You can create a tabular structure, but a picture is worth 1,000 words. You look at the picture on Google Maps, bingo, this 7 areas meet your needs, and these are all the different providers and community clinics and everything in that area. Bingo, that's what you want to go, because you can work with all the sites and this is an extension because we are a level deep down. Instead of selecting from the site, now we know this is the new target, new population whom we can target.
I see. Yeah. So I mean that makes sense, and I think that whole interface for how we so we have US consensus data in there, we have community center data, like you mentioned, we have a bunch of data sets, and then we were able to use in Google Maps kind of create those slices of data and create a population, and then just kind of run the trial starting forward from there onwards. So in terms of, I know you guys use, I can quickly mention Health Cloud, there's Marketing Cloud components in there, there's text messaging, there's WhatsApp eventually that we're going to go set up, there's Experience Cloud components, and then eventually, I know we're not doing anything with AI yet, but our goal is that once we have kind of this core infrastructure set up, that we're going to start doing some predictive stuff. So maybe talk a little bit about how do you want to leverage some of the newer stuff that's coming out once you have the platform baseline set up?
Like I said before, we collect data at various stages. I'm collecting data where to target the population, where the providers are, and whom to include, whom to market, and then once they are in the trial, what kind of a communication log so they stay in the trial. That's the most important thing. Okay. Once you have collected all this data, you collect it in a data lake. That's when you do all those multi-level analytics. Okay. First thing, the sponsor, like I said very clearly, the sponsor cares about 3 things. One, keeping his investors happy, fulfilling the studies, and doing it within time and management. If we as a particular site, which they're going to target 20 enrollees, but all of them, only 1 or 2 of them enroll and they drop out. What do you do? Okay. That's the only site. So as a sponsor, you can really target it. Hey, we are having issues at this particular site. We can really target it, pinpoint site A, B, or C. Site A is having some issues because people are dropping out. Then we find out that most of the people who are dropping out have belong to a certain segment of the society where financial hardship is a big thing. They are living on paycheck to paycheck. So what can we do to make it easy for the patients and for the sites so that they stay in the trial? That kind of triggers a shot for the sponsor. And that's where we try to bring it up everything to them.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah, totally makes sense.
collecting all the data, a lot of analytics. Yep.
Okay.
Continue.
Yeah, we'll switch over to the maybe perhaps we'll talk a little bit about your experience. We have now been working. We did some work with when you were Mindleaf, and then when we kind of made that transition over to Clinilink. Talk maybe a little bit about your experience in working with the Accelirate team. I know you and I connected a while back, and then you would work with other folks, the team, of course, that have built a platform out. So maybe, talk to me about your experience in working with the Accelirate team.
Okay. I came myself from a consulting world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the key things always start with domain knowledge. Okay. Technical skills you can always acquire.
Yeah.
But most importantly, when I had I was introduced to you by Salesforce,
Yeah.
Shahzad.
Yeah.
And I met, you understood clinical trials. Okay. Then you connected me to one of the very important person whom I consider part of my team is Natalia from your company.
Yeah.
She understood what is a clinical trial. She understood what are the different phases. What is the difference between how many of them are enrollees versus, okay, in a clinical trial? What is involved? She had that domain knowledge, and she would. There are times where I would think differently at 70,000 feet, and she was able to think at ground level.
Yeah.
And that made a huge difference because once you have a domain knowledge, Natalia, which she does, it made it very easy to translate into Salesforce, different application. When I told her I want a visualization, we went back and forth about the Google Maps thing. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's when she said, no, this could be work out good. So working with the Accelerate team, the domain knowledge they brought was unbelievable. And that was the big difference in this project.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it has to do with focus. We do have this focus on, healthcare in general, life sciences as well. And, even from a expansion of resources and expansion of investment perspective, this is an area where Salesforce is building new functionality, right? Life sciences cloud is out right now, for instance. And I think one of our next major target for product success is to transition over from what we've already built, since Life Sciences Cloud was actually built on top of Health Cloud, and what we had previously was Health Cloud. So we're looking at, making that transition over the next few months, leveraging, since we had built some customizations, which are, clinical trial specific, and now they are available out of the box with Life Sciences Cloud. So I know we're going to make that transition. Maybe you were at, a world tour in Boston, right? You kind of I've looked at what the Life Sciences Cloud is. So maybe talk a little bit about how do you see that transition? What have you seen in Life Sciences Cloud? I know it's only been out for a little bit. So, but what's your overall impression and thought process around Life Sciences Cloud?
Okay. There was an event in Boston last week,
right,
by Salesforce.
Right.
I attended the event. I talked to the person who was in charge of Life Science Cloud. Not just like looking at the demo. I looked at the demo. I talked to the person in charge over there, and then I again looked at the demo. Okay, twice, just to reiterate how everything will flow in with us. There are certain areas we are already doing, and it's just like porting it over, but they also bring some couple of new areas too. Okay, so Life Science Cloud basically augment certain areas for us, which we can just easily port from healthcare cloud to life science cloud. But it is a great tool. There's a lot of things, but standing it by alone helps us do a lot of things. Okay, personalization, it kind of helps us scale faster. Okay, and there are areas of life sciences which I don't want to go into too much detail. They have areas like patient services. They also have details patients enrollment, recruitment, site and sponsor management. Okay, because as a sponsor, that's all you care. Is it within budget, within time? Okay, so it allows you to do certain areas. So I like it. I'm looking forward to working more in detail at the ground roots level. Okay, so it's really a good product.
Yeah, I think it's exciting.
We spent this 1.5 years.
right, in the making. Okay, well, so I'm looking at our chat feed as well. We have some live audience to see if folks have questions. Please feel free to ask. I'm looking at the feed and I do see one question in there, which is what is what's your overall, one of the questions that I'm seeing here. I'm just going to read it off. Is what is your overall outlook on what is the demand or the need for what your services are about to deliver? So, like, just in terms, I think this is more of a business strategy question. They're saying, I think I'm going to read into the question, which is, you've obviously picked Salesforce and you're delivering a service that perhaps doesn't exist today. So they're asking about how do you see this platform expanding or being used in the future?
Okay. To be honest with you, I mean, we see a lot of potential because there are a lot of trials coming out, okay, clinical trials in oncology, gene editing, and a lot of different places. FDA ruling expand the horizon, expand the geography also helps us because we are really at the grassroots level,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And now with the personalization with the different segments of the society helps us a lot because now we are at the what we do is at the patient personalization level. We collect all this data to help you. So we see a lot of positive things into it, and we are ready to enter the next phase of it. Okay. One of the key things what we really learned from this is uh, uh, all the different things about privacy, and privacy because of the AI is changing a lot. Right now, there is a European model which could be adapted by the US. Okay, so that is something which we are monitoring it on a lot, but we have taken 80 to 90% of everything what is required in terms of regulatory basis. Also, we asked a permission from FDA based on all the data collection. Do we need a FDA approval? And FDA came back and said to us in an email, no, we don't need an approval because we are not touching the patient
Yeah.
on the clinical side.
Yeah.
So we feel very positive, very thing, and we are really looking forward to the next step, really helping. And right now, we are collecting for the targeting, we are only collecting three sources of data. Our plan is to include social determinants data plus two other different sources. So we are right now go to the street level and find out person who is could be eligible and what is his background, social determinants of health, everything.
So I think the next question that I have is going to fit in really well with this because they were asking about what do you use for reporting or analytics? Do you just work with out-of-the-box Salesforce Health Cloud reporting, or do you use something like Tableau? And now, and I'll tie that back to what you just said, which is now that you're going to have multiple sources of data, you might need to do something more. I mean, I know what the answer is, but that's the question.
Okay. Once we collect all this data in a data lake, okay, or the Salesforce Health Cloud, there are multiple tools which are out in the marketplace. Okay, of course we're going to take whatever comes from the box Salesforce,
Yeah.
but to augment that, we are looking at a lot of other tools. We are looking at the data miner. Okay, it's a one tool, data breaks as some tools. So we're just like, and plus we're also looking at SaaS. Okay, but the most important thing what we are really looking for is do a conversational AI with all the data we collect. I'll give you a simple example.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of clinical for sponsor A, clinical trial B? I mean, clinical trial one, let's say it's oncology. I can ask a question for my particular trial, only it's for that particular trial. What kind of patients will drop out?
Wow. Yeah.
I should be able to conversationally come back and say the patients who are going to be drop out, who are going to be social determinants of health factor, that is the financial hardship and transportation. So let's see. Get also, can you give me the name of those patients? The sponsor may not know the name of this patient, because it only knows the number, but we know the number and we can really say, hey, what can we do about it? If a person is living paycheck to paycheck, all these analytics will do everything, but then what are the next steps? That's
Yeah.
what we are working on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think
To answer your question, it's a combination of both.
Yeah, I think the summary or the one-line answer is the goal is to keep the patient in the trial, and
Yeah.
all the technology, all the analytics, the conversational AI, like you mentioned, right? The dashboards, the reports, everything that we're doing. Our goal is to have representation in these trials. Our goal is to have patients stay in the trial. So we have good data, that's right, and we have a good medication, good results, good procedures that are based on good solid data, so we can actually help people with better health outcomes, right? That's really the goal that we're trying to achieve. Yes, it's technology that's the enabler in the entire process, but at the end of the day, it's about better outcomes for both providers and for patients.
Sure.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't see any other questions. Before we call it a day, is there anything else that you want to share in terms of your experience, Salesforce, clinical trials, anything at all?
Oh, a simple thing. The game of targeting patients is expanding. The geography is expanding to include more patients. As you include more patients, the marketing is very specialized based on the individual needs. And once they join the trial, we have to keep them stay engaged. Okay. For a sponsor, we always need to answer the three things what I had already said before. Okay, keeping the trial under control, filling the studies, but we also have to be cognizant of the way. Suppose if we cannot recruit as many patients as we want. Okay, if it is a delay by 1 or 2 months, what are the process to go through to make sure the trial comes back on time and within budget, or what are the worst case scenario and what to do about it? If you're behind by 1 or 2 months, you're going to delay the trial by a couple of months and the money part exceeds. What are you going to do? How are you going to look at it? We provide all these things and help you out. And that's what we see the future of the trials are going to be. It's going to be much more analytics, much more things, and what to do about it.
Amazing. No, and we're really looking forward to building this out with you. We get to learn. I mean, I know you said that we have subject matter expertise, but really it comes from people like yourself, right? We are the sales experts. We do have domain expertise, but really we rely on your domain expertise. What we're able to do is just kind of share that back then into the channel, right? Back into folks that are trying to build these systems out. So we're delighted that we get to work with you. Thank you from me and from the Accelirate team. I will convey your sentiment to Natalia as well. I'm sure she would be excited to hear your kind words. And yeah, thank you for being on the show. And I'm sure we'll talk more.
Okay, thank you. And wish you good luck and good wishes. Okay, thanks a lot. Have a nice rest of your week. And everyone, have a nice July 4th.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.